What's good, YouTube? You already know who it is, man. It is your boy, man, Jerry Fit, and we are back to react with what's new on the tube, man. We got a special video for y'all, man. Scary mysteries. You already know, usually we save these kinds of videos for Monday, but we're lucky this week, man. Scary mysteries dropped 2 bangers. I was going to save this video for Monday, but they dropped another one, so I'm going to save that one for Monday. I got you, man. If you're not tuned in, man, you have to tune into Mysterious Monday, bro. We're bringing you all the mysterious shit. We got all the action over here. Busy weekend of reactions, man. We got a lot of stuff going on. Finals tomorrow, bro. Body cams, a lot of body cams you guys have been sending me, bro. I'm very grateful. We're definitely going to be tuning into all of those. And yeah, you already know we got work and everything, just normal shit. So if you don't want to miss any videos, man, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, because you know we're posting every single day. No matter how busy we get, we still grind, we still make the time, man. Don't worry about it. So we're just going to jump into this one. This is 5 most bizarre clues behind real-life horror stories. This would have been a great video for Monday, but I can't react to 2 videos from the same channel in one day, baby. So let's just jump into it, man. I hope y'all excited.
Some evidence is straightforward, like DNA, fingerprints, a murder weapon. And then there's the other kind. Things so strange investigators might miss them at first, but in the end, they would hold the secret to busting a case wide open. Well, welcome to Scary Mysteries. Here are 5 bizarre clues behind real-life horror stories.
Let's see it, man.
Number 5, Tokyo's most meticulous murder. The sun had barely risen on April 23rd of 1994 in Tokyo, when a janitor working the morning shift in Inokashira Park began his usual rounds. But one after another, he emptied out the trash bins filled with the usual food wrappers and soda cans until he came across one that was oddly heavy. Inside this particular bin was a large plastic bag tied multiple times to ensure it stayed closed. The curiosity got the better of him, and when he opened it, that's when he saw something that would change him forever.
That's crazy.
Severed human limbs.
Oh, hell no, bro. They said this was a trash man opening that shit up?
And police arrived and began their investigation, and as it turns out, this wasn't the only bag that was thrown away. And they discovered a total of 27 body parts, discarded and distributed across multiple bins in the park. And each piece, roughly 20 centimeters long, had been cut with near surgical precision. So, whoever did this wasn't sloppy, and they weren't nervous. They were calculated, deliberate, and terrifyingly skilled. The victim was a 35-year-old male architect. Authorities refer to him publicly only as S. He lived close by, not too far from that park. And his life on the surface was ordinary. An educated professional living alone, but as investigators peeled back the layers, they discovered something darker hiding in plain sight.
Living a double life.
The details of the dismemberment. Now, the body had been completely drained of blood, and that's not something just anyone can do. You need a large water supply, and far beyond what a typical home setup could provide, and precise anatomical knowledge to pull it off.
So are they saying that like this happened at the hospital? Is that their theory?
The forensics believe the killer used an electric saw, but not haphazardly. The muscle tissue had been cleanly cut, the kind of job you'd expect from someone in medicine or somebody trained to make people disappear. And the man's fingers and toes had been deliberately mutilated. His fingerprints scraped away, but the killer missed a few. And that's how police eventually confirmed the victim.
Don't they, like, when I say they, like in the movies, like they try to cut off the whole hand, right? If I'm not mistaken. Because, yeah, like for situations like these, like if you miss a couple of like fingers or you don't get the whole hand, like you just leave behind, I mean, fingerprints. I mean, I'm looking at my shit right now. Like you still have prints on your hand. They can still ID you, right? Or is it just the fingerprints that they look at? I don't know.
Victim's identity.
Y'all let me know in the comments, man.
And his torso and chest were never found.
That's crazy.
Here was that janitorial staff may have unknowingly removed some of those bags the day before, but no one could confirm that. Those remains were simply gone. As police began reconstructing S's final hours, they were met with dead ends and contradictions. According to one unconfirmed eyewitness, S had been attacked by 2 men near a department store the night before he vanished, though there were no signs of blunt trauma on his body. Another claimed to see 2 men carrying plastic bags through the park around 4 a.m., but they were just a couple of regular-looking guys, and the eyewitness didn't know they were carrying a body out there, if in fact that's what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, really, walking through the park at 4 a.m. is crazy. Like, there's no reason that you should be doing that. 4 a.m., like, I mean, I guess if you, like, are like a wilderness person and you live out in the woods. I don't know, like, what do you guys have to say about that? I just feel like walking through the woods at 4 a.m. is weird as shit.
The only thing the
In my
authorities could
opinion,
tell
you know what I
is
mean?
that this
I don't
wasn't
know
just
what
a
would be a
random
reason
murder.
for anybody
It
to
was a
walk
planned
around.
execution, to the point where they went to so much trouble to clean up and cut the body that they felt confident enough to dump it right in public. If it got thrown away, great, but if it was found, which it was, well, who cares? It won't get traced back to the killers. And it wasn't. As to why it happened, one early possibility was that it was revenge. Maybe a former lover, someone close to S, or even a colleague. But police interviewed friends, co-workers, and acquaintances, and no motive ever emerged. Another theory involved a religious organization that S had been a part of. Details about the group were sparse, and authorities never publicly named it, but speculation brewed that S may have either betrayed them or threatened to leave.
That's what I was saying. I was like, bro, he could be living a double life when they said, like, I forget what they exactly said, but they said something about how, something was, like, hidden in plain sight or something. I was like, oh, maybe it's a double life.
And no concrete link, just a strange lead with no follow-through. The one theory that seemed to stick, the one investigators kept circling back on, was organized crime.
Oh.
Because let's face it, only an outfit with the right resources could carry out a killing this clean. In 2015...
Can somebody explain to me why they say that for, like, all organized crime? Like, I've heard the outfit used in so many... I thought at first, when I heard it, it was strictly for, like, Italian mafia, like, shit only. Because I heard it, the outfit... I heard, for the first time about it when they were talking about Al Capone. I forget... I think he either worked for somebody called the outfit or he was the outfit. My my mob historians can correct me in the comments, but now, I mean, they just mentioned it about the Yakuza outfit. So is it just organized crime in general around the world is known as the outfit, or what?
Over 20 years after the murder, a man going by the name K came forward with a shocking story that might prove the investigators were on the right track. See, K had run a warehouse business near S's home. He was well known in the local street vendor scene, and by his own admission, wasn't friendly to foreign vendors moving into the area. He'd even used intimidation tactics to drive some of them out. But one vendor didn't back down. Unbeknownst to Kay, this vendor allegedly had ties to a foreign criminal syndicate.
And there you go.
And soon after, Kay began noticing signs he was being watched. Vehicles were parked outside, and strangers loitered around his business. Fearful, he checked into a hotel under a false name and laid low. Then came the news reports. A man had been murdered near his home, a man who resembled him very closely.
Oh, shit, dude. Was the hit on the wrong person, dude? You guys think that shit happened? How much, like, do you think that this is a real, like, story, though? Or do you think he's just kind of coming out saying bullshit? That would be a crazy fucking, like, plot twist right there, though.
And he lived in the same neighborhood. And that's when it clicked. Had the killers mistaken S for K.
Yeah.
And K was convinced they had, but terrified of retaliation, he kept quiet for over 2 decades, eventually changing his line of work completely.
Wow.
And if K was right, then S wasn't targeted for who he was or what he had done, but for who someone thought he was. A fatal case of mistaken identity. Number 4, DNA doesn't lie. On the night of November 29, 2012, 66-year-old Ravi Kumra was attacked inside his lavish 7,000-square-foot Montecito mansion in Silicon Valley. And Kumra was a wealthy businessman, a former owner of an upscale winery, and a prominent figure in the community, with a perfect target for anyone desperate enough for cash.
I'm trying to remember, but I don't think I heard anything. I mean, yeah, I was like, that's like over 10 years. That's 13 years ago, bro. How old was I? Wow, yeah. I'm not going to date myself for y'all, but yeah.
His mouth was duct taped shut and his hands tied up. His girlfriend, Harinder, was asleep upstairs, and she woke up to multiple men tying and taping her up before carrying her down.
That's some scary shit, man.
The house was then turned upside down.
I don't get how, like, you're, like, so rich, but you don't have good security, man. Like, I don't get that.
Jewelry, cash, and valuables
like,
were
how
stolen.
are you not extra cautious about...
When they left, Harinder managed to break free of her restraints and call 911. She was in a frantic state of panic, but it wasn't so much because of the break-in at this point. It was because Ravi was dead. He had suffocated to death, That tape covering his nose and mouth was just too tight.
Shit, man. With the duct tape,
But
bro,
from the
that's
jump,
brutal.
police felt like this wasn't a random break-in, and his place seemed to have been cased well. The intruders had knowledge of the layout, the safe, and surveillance system.
How did nobody
The
notice,
level of
though?
sophistication of the whole thing. The evidence they left behind at the crime scene was scarce. The real break in the case they were looking for came after Robbie's autopsy was completed. Under his fingernails, likely from the struggle, was a full DNA profile of one of the men involved. It came back to 26-year-old Lucas Anderson, a homeless man with a minor criminal history.
No way, bro. Dude, so you expect me to believe that this dude is homeless, but he's somehow smart enough to case out the entire place of these billionaires' mansion in Silicon Valley, bro? He had to be the scapegoat, dude. There's no way, like, dude, this had to be a professional hit. There's no way a homeless dude is able to stalk around Silicon Valley without going unnoticed. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is just bullshit, man. No way.
And
I
he
don't
had
believe
past
that.
encounters with the law, mostly petty crimes and nothing violent. But this was a pretty big step up in his game, so to speak. Lucas was quickly arrested and charged with kidnapping, robbery, and murder. As he sat behind bars, staring down the death penalty, he claimed innocence all along. But
I don't believe this.
DNA doesn't lie. Except, in this case, it did.
I knew it, bro.
In charge of a crime? Yep. For what?
Is this real or AI?
Wonder. Your DNA was found in our crime scene on our victim. Starting to ring some bells?
Maybe they gave him some money or something.
His public defenders started combing through records. That's when they found something big. So on the night Robbie was killed, Lucas had been hospitalized. He had been picked up by paramedics in downtown San Jose, suffering from acute alcohol intoxication.
I got you.
He was unresponsive when he was brought to the Santa Clara Valley Medical Center and remained there for over 12 hours. From around 6
So why didn't they fucking check his alibi or anything? How long did they say he sat behind bars for? This is crazy.
p.m. on November 29th to the following morning. His blood alcohol level was so high, doctors believed he could have died.
Jesus.
Nurses checked on him regularly, and he was never left alone. In other words, he physically couldn't have been at the crime scene.
Dumbass cops.
So then, how did his DNA end up on the victim?
Probably from like the...
As investigators kept
whatever,
digging, they
EMS.
discovered that the same paramedics who treated Lucas earlier that day were also dispatched to the
That's what I'm
crime scene at the
saying.
mansion later that night.
Educational
The
reaction.
same EMTs...
Dude, it really doesn't like take that much to really think and like just be like, I don't know, man. I'm shitting on these guys, but I wasn't there. I can't say.
Skin, placed tubes in
Sometimes I
his mouth,
start
and
talking
his
to them
body.
like, you know what?
Later touched Robbie. DNA doesn't require a lot to transfer. Just a few skin cells, a little sweat, a residue from a tube or glove. In a moment of accidental cross-contamination, Lucas Anderson's genetic material was then transferred to Robbie's body.
Bro, what's crazy is like how an accident like that can actually shift the entire course of an investigation, man. That's fucking nuts.
The crime lab didn't catch it. And the
This
police
dude had to
didn't
go to
question
jail
it,
for how long?
and no one considered the possibility of secondary DNA transfer. That is, until Lucas's alibi at the hospital made the charges unravel. When the truth came out, the case against Lucas Anderson collapsed. After spending 5 months in jail, he was released and exonerated. Authorities eventually charged 3 other men in the case who had previously visited Kumra's mansion. They were convicted, and justice, it seemed, had been served.
These idiots, man.
Lucas filed a lawsuit.
Facts.
His case became a rallying cry for
Facts.
forensic reform.
Good shit.
It ignited widespread discussion among legal experts,
Good
scientists, and civil rights advocates. Because the framing of Lucas Anderson wasn't the work of corrupt cops or scheming killer. It was an accident. Terrifying example of how easy it is for DNA to mislead.
No, dead ass.
DNA evidence, when done properly, is solid evidence. But when we say things like, can we trust it? It's not can we trust the science, if science is done well. It's can we trust juries and people to interpret it properly.
We're always told DNA is infallible, that it tells the truth, that it's science. But what this case showed is that DNA doesn't always prove guilt. It sometimes just proves contact.
Facts.
Number 3, the Lego case.
Dude, what's crazy, like how do you even like get out of that too? Cause like this dude is sitting behind jail for 5 months, man. I mean, like what I was gonna say earlier is like, how do you not put the timeline together and see that he wasn't able to actually like kill the Robbie guy because he was literally in the hospital being watched by nurses. I still don't understand how they're not able to piece that together before they lock this guy up. I mean, I know they, like, how do they even land on the fact that it's his DNA, you know what I mean? When did they arrest him? I have so many questions about that case, actually.
They found her on the floor of her quiet suburban home, bloodied, beaten, and barely recognizable. A pillow had been placed over her face, maybe out of guilt, or maybe just to dehumanize her even further. Lucille Johnson was 78 years old, a grandmother who baked for her neighbors and visited the sick, the type of woman you'd never expect to make enemies, let alone become the victim of one of Utah's most brutal murders. And the year this went down was 1991, during the wintertime in Holiday, Utah.
Did y'all ever visit
Lucille's
Utah?
daughter had stopped by her mom's for a visit when she found her on that floor. The autopsy revealed a fractured skull, 24 broken ribs, and a barrage of blows to the head. And whoever did this didn't just want her dead.
I was gonna say.
They wanted her obliterated.
Yeah, overkill as fuck.
And yet, the crime scene here held one puzzling detail that stood out among the chaos. Lego pieces all over the place. And they were scattered around the entryway, lying untouched in the living room. A few were even found out in the driveway, as if dropped by a kid mid-step. At the most, this wouldn't have been too noteworthy, just a messy house, but anyone who knew Lucille knew better. She was the type to keep her home spotless.
I was gonna say, she's probably a type, like, one of those people who just, like, loves cleaning, and, like, that's what they're known for, you know what I'm saying? Like, my girlfriend, she loves to clean. So, shit, I don't ever gotta worry about that shit, man. It's nice. Like, I just put the dishes in the sink. As long as I put water in them, I'm straight. But, yeah, she does my laundry, too. And it's a good life, bro. Get you a woman that likes to clean, man. That's all I'm saying.
She kept Legos in her home for when the grandkids visited, but her daughter told detectives plainly she would never leave toys on the floor like that.
Yeah.
For detectives, the detail was interesting and worth noting, but ultimately useless. The crime was never solved. For the next 2 decades, that's how it stayed.
Since 1991, Lucille Johnson's savage beating death has been a mystery. No word about who could have done it. It was apparently someone she had let inside her own home.
But fast forward to 2013, the Salt Lake County Sheriff's Office had begun re-examining old evidence using new DNA technology. Among the preserved items, fingernail scrapings from Lucille's body and some of those mysterious Lego bricks.
How do they keep those, like, things like that, like, stored? You know what I mean? Like, fingernail scrapings? How do you store that? Like, what? I don't understand what that is.
Now, the DNA under her fingernails came back with a match to a criminal already behind bars. His name is John Sansing, and he was at that moment sitting on death row in Arizona for the 1998 murder of 37-year-old Elizabeth Calabrese.
Bro, so it wasn't even your first rodeo and you still got caught, bro. How embarrassing is that, dude? Why do people just go out and, like, hurt people like this, man? That's so, like, sickening, dude.
She was a good Samaritan who had brought his struggling family food from a church pantry.
And then you killed her?
In return, Sansing, along with his wife Kara, tied Elizabeth up in their home.
And his wife?
Stabbed and beat her with a club.
Bro, are you dead ass?
Kara later testified that while this was all going on, their 4 children were inside the house.
Fuck no, man. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Are you serious? Dude, not only was she helping your family out of the kindness of her heart, bro, bringing the food from the church, you got your wife to participate in the activities, and the kids were still home, man. Bro, those kids are gonna grow up fucked up, man.
It's likely some of them witnessed the murder.
That's fucked up.
As it turns out, this wouldn't be the first time something like this happened. It was mixed in with the whole bloody puzzle of that 1991 crime scene in Utah were fingerprints. Not Sansing's, though, but his 5-year-old son's on those Lego pieces.
Wait.
So as it turns out, Sansing had brought his child along with him while he murdered Lucille Johnson.
Bro, there's no fucking way.
Picture of just how evil
What did he say?
Lucille Johnson. It painted a true picture of just how evil this man was.
Bro, there's no fucking way you brought your son on a fucking hit, dog. So he was playing with the Legos while this dad was fucking stabbing the shit out of some lady. And, like, I can't fault the kid at all. I'm not going to say anything about the kid. They said he was, like, 5 years old. He doesn't even probably know what the fuck is going on at that time. Probably just playing with the Legos. Dad probably crying, honestly. And dad's probably just like, shut up. Trying to handle his business, dude. Bro, how did nobody even see them leaving either, too, man? Bro, all these cases have me, scratching my
brought
head.
their toddler to a murder scene like it was a quick errand. and left him to play while he slaughtered an elderly woman in the next room.
That's so...
His alleged brutality is now more clear. The sheriff describing him as fairly human.
Occasionally.
Can you, like, add child endangerment to charges like that, even though it's his own kid?
We run into individuals who are evil. The individual that is being charged with this crime today can only be described as that.
Authorities can never pinpoint why Sansing targeted Lucille, but they speculate it was likely a robbery gone wrong, possibly even a random act of opportunity.
What, so they
Lucille
use the
was
kid
the
as
type of
bait?
person who opened her door to anyone in need, so she might have welcomed Sansing inside, offered him food, a phone, maybe help. Instead, he beat her to death while his child built towers out of plastic bricks just a few feet away.
Absolutely nuts to me, man.
Number 2, Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh, God.
Red Bull to solve a murder, but in the hills of the Scottish Highlands, that's exactly what happened. What started as a seemingly tragic disappearance of a grandfather cycling for charity would turn into one of Scotland's strangest and most shameful criminal cover-ups, one involving twin brothers, a hidden body, and a truth buried for 3 long years.
Oh, God, bro.
Tony Parsons was 63 years old,
The name sounds
Navy
familiar.
veteran, a cancer survivor, and father of 2. He had taken on a 104-mile charity bike ride in September of 2017 to give back to the hospital that had treated him for prostate cancer.
That's fire, man.
His journey began in Fort William and would have ended in Tillicoultry, his home, but Tony never made it. Officially, he was last seen around 11:30 p.m. at the bridge of Orchie Hotel, heading south on the A82, but after that he vanished. Everyone assumed it was an accident, so search parties combed the surrounding highlands for weeks. Eventually, without any sign of him, though, they figured a crime may have occurred. So police dogs, helicopters, and drones were deployed, appeals on the local news, but everything came up empty. Unfortunately, nothing added up, and so this case grew cold. And as it turns out, what nobody knew then was that just hours after he left that hotel, Tony was struck violently by a car speeding down a dark road outside Bridge of Orchie.
Why would you ride at night?
Behind the
man?
wheel
That's
was
tough.
25-year-old
You must
Alexander
be
McKellar.
hammered, bro. This is the mugshot of somebody who's just fucking railed off of some coke and drinks right now, dude. He absolutely has no idea where he is, dude.
Drunk, reckless, and completely unequipped
What
for
did I
the
tell
life
you?
or death moment that followed. Instead of stopping to help, Alexander decided to look out for himself. He just left Tony to die before calling his identical twin brother Robert. Rather than alerting authorities, the McKellar twins returned to the scene in a different vehicle.
Oh my
They
god.
then loaded Tony's badly injured body
How is
into
he still out there though? Nobody saw him on the fucking street?
the car and drove him back to the Auch estate, a sprawling, remote piece of land where they both worked as landscapers. They knew the terrain, all those nooks and crannies that no one ventured into. And there, in the dead of night, they dug a shallow grave and buried the man. And for 3 years, that's where Tony Parsons stayed, a beloved grandfather reduced to a missing person case, a secret the McKellars seemed determined to carry to their graves
That's fucking nuts.
until the mistake.
Dude, those demons must have been crazy, man.
In 2020, Alexander confided in his then-girlfriend.
Yep.
Maybe it was guilt, though possibly it was arrogance. And so much time had passed, he felt like he'd gotten away with it and wanted to look cool for his lady. Took her out to the burial site to show her.
No, you didn't, bro. Don't, dude. Are people seriously like this, man? Bro, like this cannot be a real, like, genuine human that actually thought that this would be a fucking cool thing to brag about. Oh my god, bro. You guys just gotta be careful when you're deciding who to
Tony's body lay.
settle down with, man.
She didn't say anything at first, but she left something behind. A Red Bull can. And it wasn't trash mistakenly left. It was a marker. And weeks later, she contacted the police.
W. Dude, what a
Investigators
W
launched.
smart female for using her brain to actually realize the situation that she's in. Like, she did a really good job. They said that she didn't say anything when the guy showed her. Because imagine, like, if this dude is fucking nuts, like, I already think he's fucking crazy. But, like, if he's, like, fucking, like, not there in the head, like, genuinely, like, and she showed any resistance to what he was showing her, he might just, like, lose it and just try to fucking kill her. So I thought she was really smart by not saying anything. And like leaving a subtle marker just in case, you know, she could see how it's gonna play out. Maybe she dropped it because she thought he was gonna kill her. Either way, she did a good thing, man. This is one up for the community, man. Shout out her for not staying and sticking by this dude's side. Like, this dude's a fucking psycho,
launched a
man.
targeted
Like,
dig.
I can't
But
believe
first
you
they uncovered a
actually show
fragment of red
someone
material and part of the jacket Tony had worn the night he disappeared.
a fucking
Over the course
dead
of
body.
2 painstaking days, police exhumed his remains. The autopsy showed catastrophic rib, pelvis, and spine fractures. The injuries to his chest were so severe they crushed his ability to breathe. And Tony may have lived for up to 30 minutes after the crash, but he died alone.
Bro, just, dude, like, think about that, bro. All of that shit crushed. You're coughing up, choking blood, breathing that in for, like, the last 30 minutes. You're alone. Bro, after all this shit that he beat, too, they said he beat cancer. I forget the other thing, but he was in the hospital. But, like, you beat all of that just for, like, to go out like this, man. Like, that's so defeating, man. I feel so bad for his family. Like, prayers for real.
By cowards.
These 2 guys probably could have saved it if they'd have reacted the way they should have reacted and called for emergency
It's just
services.
embarrassing, man.
The whole
Like,
thing's disgusting to me.
stop drinking and
In
driving.
January of
That shit's
2021,
embarrassing.
the Keller twins were arrested, and in court, the brothers admitted their roles. Alexander pled guilty to culpable homicide and received 12 years. And Robert, for attempting to pervert the course of justice, got 5 years and 3 months.
Only
The most
12
disturbing
years?
thought of this whole thing is
I
that
guess
that
it's like
girlfriend hadn't
manslaughter.
spoken up. If she hadn't dropped that Red Bull can, Tony may still be listed as missing today. The grandfather's body, buried in a lonely Highland grave, almost lost to time, well, because 2 brothers chose to protect themselves instead of doing the right thing.
Shame. Shame on them.
Number 1,
Last one.
Snowball.
What?
Prince Edward Island is a wonderful place to be in the summer and fall months. Peaceful, coastal, and charming. It's a beautiful spot. On October 7th of 1994, well, that serenity was shattered. Because just outside Tin Valley on that day, police discovered a white car ditched on Highway 169. The license plates had been removed and the interior was splattered in blood, but there was no body in sight.
Some crazy shit, man.
That vehicle belonged to 32-year-old Shirley Dugway, a mother of 5. Her family hadn't seen her in 4 days, and with news about her car and the condition it was in, panic set in quick. This didn't look like any accident.
Are those
But
bullets?
somebody had hurt Shirley. The RCMP launched a full-scale
Looks like a drive-by.
investigation, but for 7 long months there was no trace of Shirley, which meant no answers as to what exactly happened to her. But then, on May 6, 1995, in a wooded area of North Enmore, searchers stumbled upon a shallow grave. Inside, partially decomposed and bound at the wrist, was the body of Shirley. She had been strangled to death.
Who is this, though, in the mugshot?
But it wasn't just the body that investigators found. Lying nearby was a plastic bag with a blood-soaked leather jacket inside. And on that jacket, they pulled off 2 strands of white cat hair. And this would change everything.
Cat hair.
The police quickly zeroed in on Douglas Beamish. Shirley's estranged common-law partner and the father of 3 of her children.
Wow.
And their relationship had been volatile and marked by allegations of abuse and control. And there was one detail that caught everyone's attention. Douglas owned a white cat, a particularly fluffy, hard-to-miss feline named Snowball.
Ah. Oh, and that's how they connected him to the killing. That's tough. That is very
When
tough.
police looked at the jacket again, the blood was a match for Shirley, which was assumed. But what about that cat hair? Could it prove anything? At that point, no one had ever used animal DNA in a criminal investigation. The science simply didn't exist. But the ICMP were about to change that. In order to test the hairs, detectives contacted the Laboratory of Genomic Diversity in Maryland. And this wasn't a crime lab by any stretch. It was a research facility that studied genetic diseases. But they agreed to help. To ensure the test was
Gotta
reliable,
use the resources,
scientists
man.
needed to establish how genetically diverse the local cat population was. They tested DNA samples from 20 random cats around Prince Edward Island. If Snowball's DNA was too common, the test would be meaningless. But it wasn't. The hairs from that jacket were 100% matched to Snowball, and statistically unique enough to hold up in court. And what followed was scientific history in the making.
What we discovered was that the genotype was identical to what we had seen.
Oh, I thought this
in
dude
the
was
jacket hair.
smirking. I was like, no way.
So we were pretty sure that the jacket hair had come from a cat which had the same genotype as Snowball.
Beamish, who had denied everything, now had a major problem. Because the two were estranged, Shirley hadn't been in contact with him for several days. So how did this cat's hair get on her jacket unless he'd been there when she died? The trial made headlines. It was the first time in legal history that non-human DNA was used to convict a murderer. Beamish was found guilty of second-degree murder in '96 and sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 18 years.
That's crazy. Only 18?
And he appealed the verdict twice. Both appeals were denied. In 2013, he tried again, this time asking for parole, but that too he didn't get. The Snowball, meanwhile, became an unlikely icon in forensic science. His genetic code had opened the door to a whole new world of investigation.
But they said 28 or 18, so I want
Shirley's
to know.
murder was tragic and brutal, but
Is he
it also
out?
left a permanent mark on criminal justice. Thanks to a cat no one expected to matter, a killer was put behind bars, and forensic science was changed forever.
Wow. What a video.
So there were 5 bizarre...
Hey, man, that's going to wrap it up for this video, bro. I thought they said he was getting 18 years, so I wasn't sure if he's out now or what, but... Hey, man, those are 5 most bizarre clues left behind, man. Real-life horror stories from Scary Mysteries, bro. We appreciate you for letting us use the content, man. I love reacting to these videos and bringing them to you guys, so I hope you guys can enjoy this one as well. If you did, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications because you know we're posting every day. And I'll see y'all in the next video, man.